Well, it is April Fool's Day, but this isn't cheese, even though we are in Wisconsin. This is beeswax. And so what I do is it's too cold to do anything outside with the bees. It's only about 30 odd degrees. We got another week or so of this, but it's a good time to fix that beekeeping itch by going through your combs and getting ready for spring. That's what I do. My preferential brood comb is this Manley PF 117. It's a plastic comb. You either love plastic or you hate it. I love it. And one thing I do to make it, the acceptance of it better is I scrape a bit of the, I melt my beeswax and put a couple of daubs on with a brush when it's been in a little warmer. And I get the beeswax by taking the burr comb off the tops and the bottoms of the frames and also the cappings wax and melt that down. But getting back to the, before I forget, the only other frames I use, I use the plastic ones in the brood comb, I like wooden combs in the supers, and I like these as drone combs. This is my drone comb method. I just put either a medium or a deep in the box, it doesn't matter which, and cut out the drones when they're sealed, taking mites away. I found that very useful, but otherwise I don't use wooden combs for brood combs. But getting back to sorting the combs out, so what I do is I'll go to my colonies and I sort them into various categories and stack them up accordingly. And so starting off with the first category, I'll have the barely drawn, just started combs. So as you can see, the bees have just started to do a little work on like that. And although it doesn't look like much, it's actually an investment on their part that's helpful, because when you put a box of these above another box, the bees recognize this and start to come up and work. It's a good thing. I use the brood combs in a couple of ways. In the production colonies, I want my best worker drawn out comb, solid to solid worker, because if I have any part of it that's not drawn out in the spring, they'll want to make drone combs. And as I mentioned, I want my drones put in the wooden ones so I can cut them out. And so if I've got a comb like this, a partial comb, one that's been part drawn out but not all the way, I won't put that on the production colony. I'll keep those separate and I'll add them into the nukes, because when the nukes that I start to build up, they will fill out these corners with worker drones, as compared to the production colonies, which wants to make drones everywhere. So then we move along. Let's go over here. This is my boxes of my best worker comb. Just a few little drone cells here and there, but almost exclusively worker. These go on the production colonies. And this is also in the same category. There's a little bit of food on here, but I don't call this a food comb because it's got less than half. That's kind of my measure. Then separately, I'll have a stack of food combs. Pretty obvious, fully drawn, fully filled comb. That one. And this one is about a half. So if I was starting a colony out, I would put in the production area, when I'm making my drone brood removal method, which is quite complicated, but let's not get into that. I'll make sure every colony has a couple of food combs, and the rest of them are on drawn brood combs and one drone brood comb. Now, when you're going through your boxes, you will find combs that on occasion that look like that. Moldy combs. So sometimes you'll see people ask on the bulletin boards, what should I do with it? How do I clean it? Should I throw it away? And the answer is, well, no. You don't have to clean it. Just keep it separately. Don't let it get too close to the other combs in case the mold spreads around. I like to have them with air around them, and I'll let the bees clean that up. And then, of course, you'll move along and you'll find other combs that are not quite as good. These combs have got, for me, that's too much drone brood in this. I don't like to see that much drone brood, so for that reason I won't be sticking this in the production colony, but may use it in a swarm trap. The same with this one. Once you start to get this amount of drone brood, it becomes a bit of a drone factory, and that's not what I want when I'm trying to keep my mites under control. And then, of course, so those will go in a swarm trap, and then if you move along to these are what's known in the trade as crap, because there's way too much drone on that side, and this one is an abomination, as you can tell. That was one that didn't do well in that colony, so this one will be probably be burned. I won't really, or maybe it'll go in a swarm trap, but it won't be joining any production colony anytime soon. So, in essence, I'm sorting out combs into two categories roughly. The ones that are going to go into my production colonies, which are the clean worker combs and the food combs, and the ones which are going to go into my new colonies, which are the ones that need to be finished off and the ones that have just begun need to be finished off. So that's about it. It's something to do on a spring day that gets me out of trouble.